Another day, another beta. That didn't even work. So I've been doing more testing on several things, and some of these are really big topics, and some of them have come from your comments on the post asking about certain things. So we're going to get a really quick, easy one out of the way first, because Radical asked, can I cover the customization options in the Barber Shop? Can you update your face, skin color, markings and stuff? Yeah, all of that. No, you can't. Basically, the Barber Shop's broke. So as you can see here, you just sit in the chair and then you just start floating around. There's not even a chair. It just disappears. There's no customization options. So this just isn't in the game at the moment to be tested. But as soon as it is, I'll be sure to update it in the next video. Many people have asked about snapshotting and what state it's in. And is it snapshotting spell power? Unfortunately, it is not snapshotting spell power. So using the Shadow Priest as an example first here, as you can see, we're getting all of our stacks of Shadow Weaving up first, getting Misery on the target, and then just looking at how much our Shadow Word Pain's actually ticking for, which is ticking for around 417 each tick. So then when we use our trinket, without even reapplying Shadow Word Pain, we just go straight into Mind Flay, and you can see the Mind Flay has actually increased the amount of damage done by the Shadow Word Pain, because when it's refreshing Shadow Word Pain from Mind Flay, it's taking my current stats. So it's taking the trinket into account as well. And then as soon as we start Mind Flaying after the trinkets drop down, the value of the Shadow Word Pain will be dropping down as well to reflect the fact that we no longer have a trinket buff. I tested exactly the same thing for Warlock. So a Warlock can use Shadow Bolt or Haunt to refresh the duration of your corruption. We got all debuffs up on the boss, and as you can see, the corruption is ticking steadily for about 590. And then when we use our trinket, it's ticking for about 679. But as soon as the trinket wears off, it goes straight back down to 590 again. But what you did notice is while we wasn't refreshing it and we was just letting it carry on its duration, it was actually much higher. But on the basis Shadow Bolt is your filler and you use Haunt on cooldown, it's not as if you can quickly refresh that corruption with a Shadow Bolt before your trinket runs off and let it run its full duration. So overall, snapshotting, not working with spell power. But I've yet to test it with things like tricks of the trade, you know, percentage damage or crit rating increases, which I will test over the next few days, and I'll update you on it, but I'm guessing that's going to work. Applebringer asked a question as well. So he said, hey, Scottejaye, could you check if the MidSummer Bonfires count towards the achievements in Wrath? I mean, if you did them on TBC and when you copy the character onto the Wrath beta, if they count in the holiday event achievement. You'll be pleased to know they do. So I took my Paladin over to the Barons and I took it over to Tanneris and I used both of the fires, so I honoured the flame completing the quest. And then when I copied my character over to the Wrath beta, as you can see here, the achievements did actually count. So if you want to start going around and getting all of these MidSummer Bonfires done or achievements done during the event, then when you copy your character over, not copy your character over, that's the beta. When your character actually progresses on in Wrath of the Lich King, you should have credit for all of these. Now, I don't know if it's going to be every single achievement that works like this, or it's just these ones, but these ones in particular, 100% you'll get credit going into Wrath if the beta is anything to go by. Now, a really popular one, especially because everybody knows I'm a Druid, so there's a lot of Druids that subscribe to me on YouTube. But a lot of you have been asking about Omen of Clarity. Now, I've got a video coming out all about Omen of Clarity, and it's just a standalone video for all of you Druids, but I'm going to give you a real quick breakdown now of some things that I've found about Omen of Clarity that obviously require a lot more context behind them, like the tests that I've actually done, but I'll just give you the results quickly now. So I've done lots of tests using a 1-speed Feral Druid, so just in cat form with no haste or anything like that. And on average, it's about 3 to 4 procs a minute in cat form, and it is only proccing from auto attacks. Spamming Mangle whenever I've got energy don't seem to make too much of a difference, if any difference at all. I've had some 60-second segments where I've had 5 procs, I've had some 60-second segments where I've had 0 procs. But averaging out all the tests I've done, it works out to about 3 to 4 procs a minute. Some issues I have come across is actually what it procs from. So it doesn't proc from anything like Gift of the Wild, Mark of the Wild, Thorns. It is, as the tooltip reads, damage and healing spells and auto attacks. Now, I stood for about 7 to 8 minutes using Rejuve and did not see a single clearcasting proc. I started doing the same with Life Bloom, still no clearcasting proc. Now, this could be a bug because it's being cast on myself. If it's being cast on other people, I'm going to go into detail about that in the Omen of Clarity video that will be coming in the next couple of days, probably tomorrow. But the only healing spells I could get it to proc off after about 15 minutes of just stood healing myself with a mob attacking me was Healing Touch and Regrowth. So whether it's bugged or whether I was extremely unlucky, which for the extended period of time I was testing it for it to not proc off a single Rejuve, I would have had to have been almost the most unlucky person on the planet. I think it's safe to say there's a few issues there, and it could just be issues that it's not proccing on yourself. So if I was to Rejuve someone else, it might work fine. but I'm going to go through a VOD from where I was healing. What was I healing? Old Kingdom and the Nexus. And we're going to actually look at every time clear casting procced and what I casted before it procced to see if this is all right. That'll all be in the Omen of Clarity video coming very, very soon. But overall, the proc rating on Omen of Clarity is definitely lower than private servers, and it's not proccing off half as many abilities either. As I say, I have literally used my full mana bar about 15 times in a row, just using Mark of the Wild, and no procs at all. So probably gone are the days of Gift of Wild in the group, so you get a clear casting before you start. You'll probably now have to do it by chucking yourself a heal, which is exactly what Classic Go said, so shout out to Classic Go. Now, if you're more interested in the boomy side of it rather than the feral side of it, so you know how often it's proccing off Starfires and that, I'll put a link to his video in the description here, but you can see what he's doing where he's actually taking a couple of bits of gear off, rank 1 healing, touching himself to get a proc of clear casting, and then obviously going ham on the boss. Now, there was also a couple of comments about itemization and how the items change in Wrath of the Lich King. So I'll just use this 70 pre-made character and just show you, if we was to compare like Moonglade Shoulders, where they've got the 15 spell power on, opposed to 29 healing that they would ordinarily have, or if we look at the chest, you can see it's got 29 spell power, opposed to 55 healing that it would ordinarily have in TBC. And then finally, if we just look at the pants, you can see it's got 29 spell power, opposed to the 55 healing that it would have in TBC. So you can pretty much see, based on this, how the healing gear is going to convert into spell power gear and actually be very relevant. So if you're like a full Sunwell geared Disc Priest, Holy Priest, I don't know, Resto Shaman, something like that, other than the fact that some of your gear might have MP5 on, most of you, well, especially let's say priests, if you went Shadow, you can make use of the spirit that would be on your gear already. And then obviously all the healing that converts to spell power, it's going to be pretty much even to a piece of spell power gear or plus damage and healing gear that you would get in TBC now. So all of that gear, all of your healing gear is going to be very useful for you to go into a DPS spec and use while you're leveling. Obviously, Holy Paladins, not so much. But that's it. There are a few points that people have asked about, a few things that I've tested that seem like hot topics. If you go on YouTube and go to community, the post is still there. So if there's anything you want me to test, just let me know there and I will try to get through all of them over the next couple of weeks. But as always, if you like the video, click like. It helps more than you know to extend the reach of this video out to more people. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed. You might as well be subscribed because Wrath is full ahead now. Do you know what I mean? Every single day, every week, numerous videos. So if you want to get ready for Wrath and you don't want to miss any information from me, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. Check out the Rested XP Northrend guide in the description and roll the outro. There's lots of ways you can support the channel to keep me here putting out World of Warcraft content and covering all future MMOs. Consider joining the channel as a member. You get access to emotes. Everyone will know you're a member when you comment on future videos because you get a nice icon next to your name. And you get access to members-only videos, which I'll be putting a lot of on the channel throughout the year. Additionally, there's a Patreon link in the description as well. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'll see you on the next one.